Have you?
Okay,
did you
so
say that,
now it is
is there anything nefarious going
May
on?
2nd,
Do you think that
2021.
this is just a?
I'm in my
This
office.
is just an experiment.
Not War Room
that
1,
has gone.
not War Room
It
2,
could go 6 ways
but
from
in my
Sunday,
office.
And we're just
For anyone that's been watching my videos all these years, you would know that this is my office. So I'm going to just zoom around my little office here and just show you what I'm doing. We'll start with this corner. Okay.
And they
now,
about
I had a power outage
so
for about 5 minutes, okay? About a week and a half or a week ago.
As well for
right?
speaking out as a doctor.
And then, anyway, it blew out my computer screen. Literally, it blew out my computer screen, people. So that's why my computer screen is down here. I'm deciding whether I should put this back over here or if I should get my Windows 10, right, and switch them around. I only have so much room in this office because I want to do live streams one day, right? Plus, this is a Windows 10. So if you're going to do live streams, you want to use that, right? So that's why that's there. So in the meantime, here's my office. Do you see my office? That's my little office. That's my office, people.
Your doctor trusts the CDC, and yet the CDC is not doing what it's supposed to do in this particular subject.
Anyway,
so when you're talking about
what I'm doing now, got my taxes done.
I don't think they're that smart.
So now I'm getting onto this. I'm going to sort this stuff out today. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. All of this. This here is all mine in relation to what Andrew handed to the judge at the time of the appeal. So my goal is to cross-reference, organize this first, right? Okay, gonna organize this first, right? I'm gonna use what I like to use. I'm not going to worry about numbering pages at this point. I'm just going to organize it, date it, and then loop it up, right? And then, I guess, list it, right, at some point. See, if ShaMay was here, she'd help with that, right? And then I'm going to cross-reference it within there to see what they failed to add in.
Truth does have a way of
right, in terms of, I don't think everything is in there, but then I don't know. I won't know until I cross-reference everything. And then we've got this thing here with my signature on it. You can see that. And then, remember, lady came into the library and had me sign it there, over here where I was supposed to sign it, not where the judge was, because she pointed here, so I signed there. Right? And then they realized they made a mistake. Right? So I don't know what this one is. This is the same form, only I don't even have my signature on here. So I don't know what's going on. That's what I found so far. Still have this one though. But if you read these, they're the same.
Wow. You're a wonderful
and
doctor.
They removed this part.
I just appreciate that you totally understand.
They removed that part.
Even though you don't have all the answers,
but it's the same form.
Sort of what's at
oh wait, no. This one says 4. Plaintiff's signature may be dispensed with on this order. And, I'm not sure what that means.
Who sort of have their way of
right? Same day. August 15th. Where are we?
Canadian politics too much, but Prime Minister
August 15, 2017. And then we've got
not that thrilled
right here, Tuesday, the 15th day of August, 2017.
They want to implement
60 days after service of a properly amended notice of civil claim, the parties shall serve each other with their respective list of documents. Service of any documents in this action may be effected on the plaintiff by email. Okay?
When we look at Biden, I mean, this
Here it is
guy,
again,
he hasn't been
60
in very
days
long,
after service.
and he's just turned
But
the
this
place
one without
upside
my
down. We're watching
signature,
your crisis at
they
the
added
border.
in the plaintiff's
We're watching
signature
your
may
mask
be
mandates
dispensed
nonstop, even if you've had
with
2 inoculations.
on this order. So I don't
no
understand what that means.
who actually engage in
At the case
gene
planning
therapy,
conference,
testing.
okay,
So
conducted on
he's
August
got
15th
quite
before
something.
Master Taylor in the presence of Judy Chorney on her own behalf and Laurel Wilson appearing as counsel for Fraser Health Authority. Okay, so anyway, that's pertinent. Okay, so what's going to happen here is,
so what Biden
I'm just going to keep this short,
order.
right?
It's not a law. It's not a mandate. It's an executive order. And that's all it is. Because our founding fathers, when they put together our government, realized they couldn't trust anybody, right? They came from the monarchy. They did not want the monarchy. That's why we have, the Senate, the Congress, and the president, and then we also have the whole court system, because we need that to oversee, this group has to oversee that group. So even though, this is the problem with the parliamentary government, if you have a majority as prime minister, if you have a majority, then basically you can push through whatever you want. Here at least we have, and especially in the Senate, where they still have a filibuster rule, one senator can stop a bill, right? And that's the only thing I hope and pray, that these people still understand what's important constitutionally and protect us.
Right. Right. Wow. Well, I like the way that you guys do things. It seems like somebody did build a lot of protections in there, and those protections are not what we're experiencing here in Canada. So there's a lot of fear about a communist police state being put in, and it's real.
No.
It's very alarming to us.
It's scary because, the United States has been involved with setting up a lot of governments after World War II, and none of them were modeled after the U.S. They were all parliamentary governments, and why didn't they, this is a system that has worked. Why didn't they use that model when they set up other governments? Because it's a very difficult system to control. You have to own the courts, you have to own the presidency, you have to own Congress, and you have to own the Senate. If you really want to manipulate things, you would have to own all of that. Whereas with the parliamentary government, you basically have one party in power, and they're going to steamroll their philosophy, their whatever it is they want to do, they're going to steamroll it through. And it's interesting because basically our government is a pain in the butt, because there are things they can't do. Biden would love to say, Dr. New, you have to put on a mask, but he can't. He really can't. He cannot. It's outside of his constitutional rights. If I'm sitting on
you want to watch this,
he can tell me
you
I
have to
wear
go
a
to
mask.
BitChute.
But as long as I'm
This
sitting
is Laura
in my
Lynn.
office in Ann
She's
Arbor,
in the province
an
of British
office that I
Columbia,
own,
Canada.
he can't tell me I have to wear a mask.
Apparently,
He doesn't
she
have
used to be some
jurisdiction. He
news
doesn't have the right
reporter
to do that.
that was a little bit of a independent thinker.
It's up to the states, and unfortunately, I'm in one of those
had to
states
branch off
where
on
they
her
have
own.
mask mandates.
Right.
So,
are you all going to bail out of your state and move somewhere else, or are you pretty happy in Michigan?
I don't necessarily agree
Florida
with
and
everything.
Texas are looking pretty,
right?
every day.
But,
looks good to us too.
She interviews
We're
people
like, wow,
from
look at
different
Florida.
fractions
They got the beach
within
warm,
society,
right? Warm air.
Different,
I love it.
different areas,
So,
different
wow,
fractions.
It's just been such a pleasure
She has an
Thank you so
outreach,
much.
right?
I'd love to have you
So,
on again.
I like to listen to what people have to say,
we'll catch up
right?
it looks like
in terms
we're
of
nowhere near
diversity,
the end of this
right?
saga.
That's the one thing
Anytime soon.
you have to be aware of. It's people can be biased, right, and prejudice in thought and with their opinions and that type of thing. So that's where you have to do your research and diversify yourself with different information to be able to come to your own conclusions without being influenced through someone else's biasness, right? I learned that in grade 8, people, with a teacher that told me to, pay attention to bias information. And for whatever reason, what was I in grade 8? How old was I? 10? 9? 8? 11? Maybe? Right? No. Grade 8. I would have been 10? 10, 11, right? And it stuck with me all these years. So, anyway. So today, I'm sorting this out. Right here. I'm back in the office. Once this project is done, then I'm going to pull out HSBC papers. Because the fella that's working with me on that one probably wondered what happened. Because I haven't contacted him back yet, people, right? Obviously, those papers are around here somewhere. Okay? I'm just going to keep plugging at it. Right? I've decided that I'm going to just file for a trial. I'll pay the $200. Okay? Simply because I'm not going in front of a master's. And I'm glad that I got into these papers because, again, it's jogging that memory. And as I was reading the other night, right, with Judge Bowman, and there are two different Bowmans, okay? When I get this all figured out, I'll be able to show you. I'm pretty sure it's two different Bowmans, but they're spelled differently. Okay? Or I'm reading them differently. I'm reading something incorrect. Okay? There was three of them. Master Taylor, Judge Bowman, and Judge Bowman. Only two different spellings. Okay? And, which would mean two different men, right? So that's three different men, right? But one of that, Judge Bowman was like, how did it get past? How did it get past Master Taylor for it to even get to him before he dismissed it, right? It was because I waived my fees, people. And because I waived my fees, it gave them an opportunity with that freebie, right? That by under law through some book that they actually looked in, right? I don't know. Anyway, it provided me an opportunity to do an amendment, but they ignored the amendment. They didn't acknowledge it. And what I did do, Fraser Health Authority just belittled it, right? And pointed out the flaws versus, you know, wanting to clean up the swamp, right? Wanting to clean up their own swamp, people, okay? Right? As if they run at 100% efficiency in terms of no criminal activity, no medical neglect, right? No medical negligence, right? None of that crap. They are something that is protected by a bubble in terms of perfection, okay? Well, I disagree. This is where you have to determine with who's being biased and prejudiced with their opinion. And that's why we have a court system, because we can challenge that biasness, right? The court is being biased by participating in their practice to discriminate against my persons for having a difference of opinion to something that clearly is bias, because Fraser Health Authority and any other health authority is far from being perfect. Okay. Talk like that, move around to a judge, they don't like it, people. They get flustered because they're in control, right? So they like to have their control smooth. In other words, don't interrupt, take your bitter pill and swallow it. If you challenge that narrative or that process where the judge himself or herself is comfortable with it and expect the outcome without any challenge, okay? Never mind, I guess you could say attitude, right? In terms of if you're wanting to speak and be affirmative with your thoughts, with your, the way you form your sentence to get to the whatever it is that you're trying to say, and then how you say it, Well, they'll be calling the fucking sheriff on me, people, in the freaking case conference, right? Because I'm getting passionate, right? But it also makes them feel uncomfortable, though, because it's getting close to home and they don't want to deal with the court issues that are being brought to the table, people, because they don't want to clean up the swamp. That's the point. That's why I have to keep pushing, because if they don't want to clean up the swamp, then they're never going to be able to effectively and efficiently say that they can protect my family under that duty of care within the Criminal Code of Canada, yada, 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 and expect people such as myself to believe in their integrity in terms of what encompasses duty of care. You can't treat me like shit out of court and then sit up there and fight for me when I'm in the system, saying that you're providing me a sense of duty of care where you can fight the opponent if, say, somebody fights for me like I fight for Uncle John or ShaMay or whatever, and then lock them out to protect my so-called health, interest, better safety. What are they protecting when they lock me up and use that duty of care card? In terms of, we did nothing wrong with Judy Chorney while she was in our care, because we're gold standard, right, in terms of perfection. But yet, in this situation, they mistreat me, right? And as soon as I get a little forceful on that, people, because I know I'll be there by myself, and we'll be arguing the minute I get in, because I'll be like, I have to. I don't have a choice, people. I have to record it, because that's the only way I can prevent them from falsifying their own files, okay? And then just shuffling the paper about, okay? Knowing that time is their weapon, in terms of, if we just drag it out a little longer, right? She's going to get a little sicker. She's going to get a little older. She's going to get a little more tired. And then if we throw in a little bit of gang stalking, not to mention what the hell is going on in the freaking courthouse yet, right? Because what they did to me the last time I was there really kind of constitutes gang stalking. So when we get to the freaking case conference, I'll remind whoever is sitting there that I'm already walking the talk with it, people. With bug spray being used as a subliminal threat. But I'm not there to talk about bug spray and subliminal threats. I'm there to talk about cleaning up the swamp in terms of our health authorities, right? Okay, I'm going on a tangent here. So, I've decided I'm bypassing the master, right? And I'm glad I read what I did, because it just reinforces that it was set up from the beginning in terms of the judges working together, because with Judge Bowman saying, well, why didn't Master Taylor take care of it then? Should have been thrown out then, right? But because they were obligated by law to give me that freebie for the amendment, that bought me one more day, not even a day, people, less than a half an hour in front of a judge to basically mock me, right? Belittle me, right? Threaten me, right? Ignore me, right? And so on and so on and so on. Just so they could pass the buck and stall for time. And then when I get sick, I'm going to show up. I'm going to want to leave. They're not going to let me leave. They won't let my kids come in, right? I will have somebody come and do something that will injure me. I've already got documentation where it has happened to my family, right? And now I'm at a greater risk to having it happen to me, because there are no witnesses around me to verify how I'm being treated, right? And then I suddenly die, right? Because I was sick and old anyway, right? And I must have did it to myself, and so therefore I deserved it, right? And then, maybe somebody might stand up for me and fight back. And what is Fraser Health Authority going to say? Oh, well, you weren't in her care, and the duty of care isn't with you. It was with her, and we did the best that we could for her. When did they do the best for me, people? Okay? They didn't. Right? And they haven't. And they won't. So a court should not be biased against that fact, because it's a fact. And I can prove it. It would be better if the government was involved, because then the government, in terms of digging up those files, could start cleaning out the swamp, people. And then they could actually practice what they preach. Right? If you're going to preach something, then at least practice it. The government is not practicing duty of care. They're practicing breach of trust. False pretense. Kidnapping. By condoning it, by not investigating it when it's brought to their attention. Sit there in a case conference talking like this, getting pissed off because they're arguing, right? Mumbling between the two of themselves in terms of the judge and the crown lawyer, right? How they're going to stick it to me and accuse me of wasting the court's time, right? And being frivolous, right? Right? After I've been intimidated just walking through the halls to even get to the case conference room. So my nerves will already be rattled. More than likely, I'm going to go in by myself because I have no advocate, people. I have no lawyer and I have no advocate. And then it's my turn to talk. And of course, you're rushed because, they're busy. They're making hardcore cash, working really fucking hard here for the public. For the public, people. Okay? And then I'm like, okay, where do I start? Well, and then, and I'll be like, yeah. And then we've been pointing fingers at each other. And they're going to say that, what? I don't make a good lawyer? I don't have a right to be a Denny Craig on my own behalf? Right? When does a lawyer actually get to have some passion about what they do? See, I don't have to pretend to be something, people. I just go in there and be myself, okay? And they use it against me simply because they don't want to take any responsibility for their perfect world that is not so perfect. So, yeah, it's important. I'm going to leave it here, okay? Keep it short today. It's important to not fall for, to be entrapped, lured, sucked into a biased opinion, a biased situation where it becomes all consuming to that biasness. Because once it's like being in an occult, right? An occult is very biased to its doctrine. It's that or nothing. The highway or my way, right? That's what bias does. It makes you choose without an option, which could seriously harm you if you make the wrong choice. So be careful what you listen to and as to how you interpret it, to where you make your decisions without doing your research to compare it to before you make that decision. I learned that in grade 8. I remember the teacher standing over me, telling me to be careful and to be aware of what the word bias means. The court is biased, which makes it prejudice, which makes it discriminate those that they disagree with. So therefore, that kind of like takes them away from their position in terms of justice, because they are incapable of not being biased. Their whole system is built on being biased. And that's why it's so hard, I guess you could say, to crack that nut. But I'm a nutcracker. Remember how many black walnuts did Andre and I come home with that day? We came home with like 699 black walnuts, people. I have the video on it. And then the next day we went back and got another 400 walnuts. And then we had another, I did like 1,700 walnuts, people, in one walnut season, between collecting them, taking off the husk, dehydrating the husk, grinding the husk, right? Picking out the nuts, freezing the nuts, right? Doing whatever I fucking did. So I'm a good nutcracker.